Hello, this is the prototype that I made of the waterfall card mechanism that I showed people in my videos, and I did say I'd come back if there was enough interest and show you how to make it. So what I've done, this part of the video shows you how to put the file together. Now I've not cut all of the parts because I haven't bothered cutting the matting layers for this. I've just cut the basics for the mechanism, and I'm going to tidy that edge up a little bit because I just realised that I could have had my blade on slightly higher than it actually was, but that's going to work fine for us. So basically you've got your score lines in place and you've got this tab here. Now this piece here, we'll get to that in a minute, and this piece here. So these are the pieces you really need. Just let me get that envelope out of the way. So you need those parts and this to make the mechanism. Now the first thing you need to do is, where it's actually scored for you, is you need to give those a good score. So we're just bending them and scoring, and then we can start making the card. So just make sure you've got a good crease, and then we know that it's going to work fine. All right, so that's how we're looking now. Now these parts here, this is coming on here like so, and we can see this bit here has got the arrow here. Now that arrow is meant to indicate that you pull it in that direction. Now you could either, like I did, attach a ribbon to it to pull, or you could put an alternative colour, cut this part in a different colour so that it, if you will, shows up through. Obviously this is not cut to size, but you would have it cut to size if you'd use this piece. Then that would give you a contrast colour, so you could actually see that that is for pulling the arrow pointing in that direction. So these parts here hug round, not too tightly, but tight enough to hold your mechanism round that first part, so that when you've got it, it will pull like so. It's difficult to hold it and show you how it's pulling. So they all fold over the same way, and then when you've got that hugging round, it just gives you that sort of motion, that flipping motion. Now if you were to use it as is like this, you would only actually have those two tiny areas securing the whole thing to your card. What I think is a good idea is to put a little bit of good strong tape. So I'm going to use a little bit of, doesn't really matter because this is just for demonstration purposes. I would actually probably use score tape because it's a good strong, or if I was doing a bigger one like this one. I've just scaled everything down on the scan and cut before I've took it across, because the beauty of this is you can make it as big as your mat will take for each piece, and so therefore you can make a much bigger card, because as you can see, this is a much smaller version of what we've got here. And that's because I just wanted to get it cut and show you how you could use that as the mechanism. So if we just put a little bit of the double-sided adhesive on there, and then we can bridge one to the other using that other piece that's been cut. It's been cut so that it's not quite as wide as the bit that's bending over, so it's not going to be messy, and you can just bridge across those two like so, and that secures your mechanism in place. And that way then you can run glue across that entire piece there now, and without it catching on your card, glue or tape, and it's going to hold your mechanism in place, but you're going to have much more clinging to your base card, if you will. So the next thing to do, and just so you can see the difference, because I'm aware I've done this in the same colour of card, I'm going to go and use some of this double-sided tape for this, because I don't think that tape is going to be narrow enough to get in, so I don't want to risk it. So I'm just going to run some tape now on the in between the score lines like so. There seems to be a score line missing. Anyway, we'll carry on like so. If I've missed one off this one, I'll add it too. Okay, so we've got our 4 pieces of tape like so. Okay, so I'm just going to give that a good burnish down. This isn't score tape, it's not quite as strong, but it's strong enough for the purpose of the video. So just let me find a pair of tweezers and we'll just tease this off. Now, I think it's a good idea to start at the back one, but this would be the last one that you're going to see. So you want to line up with the score line, but not crossing the line, so that it's going to be sitting like this. So now if you can imagine, you've got an alternate colour through there, that's telling you to pull. Okay, so again, one at a time, I'm just removing, and that's the second one in place. So you can see the mechanism starting to come together. So again now, just removing the tape. And the third picture. And once you've got the basic idea of how to create the file, you could actually make it so that it pulls more than 4 if you wanted. I wouldn't go more than 5. You could do less and do 3. But I think if you're going to do more, and depending on how many layers you're going to put on as well, that also will affect the file. Obviously, the more layers you've got, the heavier it's going to be. The more pull actions you're going to have, the more heavy weight the card's going to have. And it just concerns me a little bit that if we get too much weight on the card, and I'm just struggling to get that last bit of tape off there, I'm going to abandon it in a minute. I think it's a piece that's gone a bit rogue, so I'm going to just get that piece off and we'll have it like that. Because obviously you're only holding it to your card with that small piece there. You can't put it anywhere else, only on that, or else it stops the mechanism from going. Like I said, I have done the drawing line, the dotted line, if you will, with the pen, just so that you can see how it works. Now, if we get ourselves a base card, so this one's maybe a little bit too big for this one, really. So what I would do then is I add some other matting layers. So I think I had on this one, I had that base layer, then I had a matting layer, that the next layer I did in coloured paper, like so. And then the next layer on top of that, I didn't do it in cream, I did it in white cardstock, so that I could ink and add things to make my scene, if you will. So effectively each one of these panels had 3 layers. So all you need to do then to stick it to your card, the mechanism, I'll just use a piece of this red tape. I might actually turn this into a card, maybe. I'm thinking about it. Let's see if I can find quickly. Perhaps if we did it on a square white, it would match better. Yeah, quite like that. So because I could add everything to it afterwards, so I can actually turn this into an actual card rather than just waste it, which would be a shame. It's all cut out lovely and whatnot. So I'm just going to cut myself a piece of tape. So I would suggest you use a very strong tape for this bit, score tape, but what you don't want is it to be interfering with this part under here. You just want it on that bar. But I think having that bar just gives us a little bit more for the card to actually cling to. So when you're happy, you place it. I think I could leave room for a ribbon or some washi tape or sentiment down there, like so. Once you're happy with placement, then give it a good push. And now, when you pull, it flips like so. And your final one that you see here, see, I think, oops, pulled. That's because it's not stuck onto that. That's not the card's fault. That's my fault, user error, because I've only used rubbishy tape on the actual thing, so that the one was far stronger than the other and it's just pulled off. So we'll put a little bit more tape on and we'll stick it back on, and then so at least you see my mistakes. But obviously you would do this using your good card and your good sticky, so that you wouldn't have this issue. I'm sort of just trying to rush and save time by using the tape runner, and it's just not strong enough to hold it. So I'm just trying to get the backing off this now, which is proving tricky. I'll just fold that back on itself so that it's not going to get attached to the blue in any way. So again, we'll go again in a minute. This will be a bit tricky trying to line it up, but we'll give it a good go. That's okay there. We'll have that one there. That there. So let's see. Yeah. So I think that's where I wanted to have another. That's why it's pulling off, because I'm wanting to have another fold, I think, there. I think on my card I made it so that I had another fold here so that it folds flat there. So I'll add another score line into the file when I make it to score that line up. So that means that then, if I get it out of the way now, that we've got that additional score line. I thought we were a score line short. So we've got one there now, just increase the pressure. So now, when you get to that back piece, so you'd have all of your elements on the fronts here where I've got the dotted lines. There's your motion, that motion, if you will. And then this bit, as you pull it out, can reveal your message, which says, wishing you an amazing birthday. I've just shown you with this how to use the Sharpie pen holder. Like so. So that would be the last reveal, if you will, on the card. That goes on that pull part. So let's shove everything back under. So you'd have your images on here and your backing papers and your whatever you want to do, like this one. If you wanted and you feel that people might struggle to get in there to pull that, you can still add a piece of ribbon or some twine, wool, yarn, fibres, whatever you've got in your stash that you can put on here. The plan was that you'd have a contrasting piece, if you will, underneath. So if I just cut one down a little bit just to give you the idea, so that you might have something like that. Alternatively, if you cut that bit, you can actually paper piece it back in a different colour. But ideally you would cut that out in a different colour and just mat it on, and then it'd be underneath. So if I wonder if I just do with something a little bit brighter so it shows up. Pinch a bit of this. So again, I'm just gonna quickly do this, because obviously you wouldn't have to mess about doing this because you'd have it in the cut in the colour that you want. You wouldn't cut everything in blue like I have, just for speed, because I just wanted to get a file to put together quickly so that you could see where we're going. So if I pull that out now and turn it the other way around, if I stick that on there like so, let's give us a bit of stick 'em on like so, and you'll get the idea in a minute now, hopefully. So you can either go with a pull tab or you can fill it with a different colour. Let's just slide everything back in again now. Can you see now that colour's showing up? So you pull, reveal your greeting, and if it's just getting a little bit stuck there, make sure your greeting is really flush down, and you can always just stretch your paper just ever so slightly by running your bone folder in there to get that free movement. And you find with these, the more you do it, the better it does. So like I said, that's the basic of the card, the basis of it, if you will, and the file that I've come up with. Like I say, if I can remember, I'll add that score line there so that when you pull it out, you get that last fold, if you will. Okay, so that's that, because this one does the same. I knew I had a fold there, you see, and then you can decorate it how you want. But if you're not careful, if you go more than 4, it does become very top heavy. It still stands up well. You can operate the mechanism lying down or stood up. It's entirely up to you. And I would try, if you wish, to keep the layers. You want it sturdy enough so that it's not going to flop about too much, but try to keep the weight down a little bit, because remember, you are actually only holding it on by that thin bar at the back. But it does hang on quite well. It's not going to fall off anytime soon if you use a decent glue. So that's it. That's the waterfall mechanism. I hope you enjoy the video and you watch carefully the file on how to make the file if you wish to do so.